Alright, so welcome back to the Infinityverse, where I give you a little peek behind the curtain to the Infinityverse, the shared fanfiction universe that my good friend Jason Voorhees 2011 and I do together. And today I'm going to be doing a bit of an update on one, because we've kind of moved the storyline along for this part of the particular universe. And that is the Gravity Falls side of things. And I've been meaning to talk about this one, and this is like a one that I feel like I needed to do a video on this, and I wanted to do a video on this, but I couldn't because that would have spoiled a shit ton of stuff. But now, and there's still stuff I'm not going to spoil. There's still stuff I'm not going to spoil. But we've now gotten to a point where in this incarnation of Gravity Falls in the Infinityverse, I can now talk about some stuff. Because some people who have read the fanfiction are like, you kind of owe us some answers, buddy. So I'm going to try my best to explain some of this stuff. In this continuity of Gravity Falls in the Infinityverse, the end of the series that happened, Bill Cipher's gone, and now the Infinity League have had Dipper and Mabel, and Ford and Wendy were all part of the Infinity League. Although Ford and Wendy were allowed to go on field missions, Dipper and Mabel were not, because the other League leaders were like, "Hey, we don't know if you're ready to go out there in combat yet, because you got lucky beating Bill, and it technically wasn't even you. It was Stan and Ford, who they asked Stan. They didn't even bother asking Stan because they were like, "We know your record, buddy. You ain't coming on." And Ford, they were like, "Yeah, you can come along. Wendy can come along." Seuss is also allowed in, and he is the League's handyman. He's basically the cleanup guy for the League on their orbital tower, called Skyward Tower. So Dipper and Mabel, well, they're not allowed to do missions. They're not allowed to be on any missions. What they are allowed to do is get training. They are actually trained in hand-to-hand combat by April, from, of course, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Of course, we're using the 2012 universe. But yeah. So, in here, Dipper and Mabel are getting training alongside Dib and Gaz, who are also not, like, on the field list. They're more like, yeah, we're allowed, but we're not ready for field missions yet. So they're getting training from April, and they're also getting Dipper and Mabel are also getting training from Jason, aka the former Red Ranger, and Zach, the former Black Ranger. So they are getting training from April, Jason, Zach. That was the ones they were getting training from. Now, during this time, there was the thing called our current event going on called the Phoenix, and during that time, Wendy was among the people who was chosen by the Phoenix to be like, "Hey, I might pick you to be the Phoenix, to bond with me, so we can, recreate the universe in our image." And that really affected Wendy. And recently, Sailor Moon managed to break the hold on a lot of the characters except Wendy, because the Phoenix told her, "Hey, you're gonna be the Phoenix. You're gonna be the one I choose to become to bond with." So yeah, during this, I bring this up because during that time, the League leaders who were like concerned of all these recurring nightmares certain characters had, and they were all like pretty strong characters. They're like, maybe you should hold off and just until you get these nightmares figured out, and in case there's something going on, you guys take a bit of a break. We'll call you back. But Wendy didn't want that. Dipper thought it was bullshit. And also, we call Dipper by his real name Mason a lot, because he's kind of growing up beyond that. And there's another reason for that, and I'll get to that in a minute. But basically, Mason is like, that's bullshit, and I gotta save my girlfriend, and if the League isn't gonna do anything, I'm gonna do stuff myself. And he has thrown in with Black Hat and our villain group, the Society of Supervillains. So he is, and now you're probably wondering, well, how does he do this? Well, earlier, Mason had taken on a identity called the Red Talon, which is actually, yes, it's very much inspired by Red X from Teen Titans. But yeah, as the Red Talon, Mason more or less was gathering up certain weaknesses for each members of the League. And it wasn't like initially the plan was, I'm going to hold on to this shit so none of the villains can get a hold of it, because if I can take out the League so easily, imagine what Black Hat or Cobra or someone else could do with this. So that was the initial plan. But as it went on, and as he started to distrust more of the League, he's like, yeah, maybe it's time, maybe the League is the real problem. You not only overlooked my girlfriend, but you've also overlooked me. You've also, every time a problem happens, the world just kind of reacts to the League's formation. And, maybe superheroes are as much the problem as they are the supervillains. Now, you're probably wondering, well, how can he even do this? Dipper couldn't really fight in the beginning. Like I said, he is getting training, and him and Mabel have also been getting a bit of an upper lately. Professor Utonium in this continuity has been giving Dipper and Mabel a certain pill that is called Chemical V, which was initially, before he created the Powerpuff Girls, Professor X created this thing called Chemical V, which is meant to be like a super soldier serum, but the problem was that it only helped a certain blood type. The others, it just made incredibly sick and near death. And lucky for Dipper and Mabel, they had the right blood type to use the pill. So this gives them enhanced strength, speed, and agility, as well as incredible endurance and heightened reflexes and intellect. So Dipper's mind is now like even further expanded, and he was pretty smart to begin with. So yeah. Now the other thing while we're going on with this is that Ford was also part of this group called the Illuminati. And the Illuminati consisted of Rose Quartz, Optimus Prime, Ozpin, as well as Ozpin and Washu from Tenchi Muyo, and Zordon. So they were the ones who first battled the Phoenix and sent her into another universe, but never told anybody because they didn't think the Phoenix was coming back. And now it's back. And Dipper's now really mad that his own uncle, that he really cared for, has lied to them, and he's kind of part of the reason why his girlfriend is going nuts. Not to mention, there is also something going on with Wendy as well, in that Wendy, in this continuity, we talk about who her mother is, and her mother is none other than Anastasia DeCobri, aka the Baroness. Yeah, the Baroness is Wendy's mother in this storyline, and we've written out, Wendy doesn't know yet. Keyword, she doesn't know yet that the Baroness is her real mother. And I'm not going to explain how that happened. Don't worry, we will. We're not going to explain it here, but yeah, Wendy's mom is the Baroness, and she is trying to watch over her daughter right now, because no one knows. Like, her dad knows, obviously, but she's trying to keep it secret, because imagine what Destro's gonna do if he ever found out that his lover had a secret love child that she never mentioned. Not to mention, she's like, Cobra Commander could now hang that over her head like a noose. Like, hey, I could come after you now. You gave me something to go after you with. I have, your family, your daughter. So, and yes, by in part, Wendy's brothers are also Baroness's children as well. So don't worry, we'll explain everything. So yeah. Now, the other thing going on while this, let's actually talk about the other thing. The other major thing is, you're probably all wondering, well, why is Mason and Wendy are obviously going to become villains? Why is that? Well, simple. It was the logical step. It was the logical step for both characters. It's not like they've gone so far that they're getting to the point where it's point of no return. And it's the logical thing, like, when you think about it, really, Mason becoming a villain is actually a logical step. It's actually a logical step. He's not like I'm the bad. He's not singing I'm the bad guy. It's more like he's more in line, and Jason and I talked about this a lot, of his evolution is something like akin to Ozymandias from Watchmen. He is kind of like he's slowly becoming our universe's Ozymandias, but he doesn't like try to claim to be the good guy in all of this. It's more like, yeah, I know what I'm doing is wrong, but in the long run, it's gonna be better. Or not. Like, maybe like at first he's like, yeah, maybe what I'm doing is wrong, but like in the long run, it's gonna be better. Or not. So, and it was kind of the logical thing, because when you look back at Gravity Falls, you realize, man, Mason has all the makings of a supervillain in him. Like, half the problems were caused because of his vanity and his desire to get smarter or want something or want someone. So, this was the right move. Like, Jason and I felt like it was the right move to make Mason a villain and make him a recurring villain. As for Mabel, she's gonna go on the straight and narrow. But the thing is that we've kind of, like, when you look back at the show, she never gets a lot of reprisal for her, or whatever she does. She never gets a lot of reprisal. It's more like Dipper has to bail her out of certain situations. So in here, we're now dealing with my brother's now evil, and I don't know what to do. My family's broken. Also my uncle was the reason that Cosmic Deathbird is coming after us, and also trying to possess who I consider one of my best friends. And Stan also knew about Dipper being the Red Talon. He was kind of like his evil Alfred in a way. Or, I guess, like his pseudo-Alfred, with McGucket being like his Lucius Fox. So, like, evil Batman. So Owlman, I guess. So that was the big thing in there. So Mabel is also going to be forming her own superhero identity. We're slowly putting the seeds in that Mabel is going to have her own superhero identity very soon. Now, for the rest of Gravity Falls, we've actually built some stuff here and there, and Pacifica in general has also gotten a bit of an upgrade. Recently, in a spotlight that I wrote, in this story, what happens is that Pacifica's parents made a deal with Alistair from Has-Been Hotel for riches and whatnot. But however, her dad made a secret bargain with a secret pact with Alistair. In that, instead of getting my soul, how about you get my daughter's soul? So Alistair came, but what happened? It came for her soul, but what happened was he killed both of them, took their souls anyway, and he's like, I'm going to get your soul anyway, because it's a bonus price. But what happened was, when he went to do that, Pacifica was rescued by none other than Sebastian from Black Butler. So Sebastian offers his service in exchange for her soul, because in this storyline, in this universe, there's an unwritten rule. There's a rule among demons that, since there's an unwritten rule among demons that demons can only make. Humans can only make bargains with one demon, and he already made it with Alistair. But what happened was when Pacifica's father tried to make a deal with Bill, that broke the deals. So, your soul's forfeit now. I get your soul now rather than waiting for you to die. But you're probably wondering, well, why does Sebastian get Pacifica's soul if her soul was already offered to her? Because it was her soul, her deal. So technically speaking, Pacifica can still choose who she can give her soul to. So she makes the deal because, she wasn't a part of the initial deal between her father and Alistair. So her soul is technically still, can still be used for someone else. Because it was her soul, her rights. So she can choose someone else to give her soul to, and she offers it in exchange for Sebastian's service. So now Sebastian serves Pacifica, and you're not going to see Dipper and Mabel a lot in Gravity Falls. Mabel's now going to be slowly turning the reins over to a new group of people who are going to be solving mysteries in Gravity Falls, and Pacifica is going to be very much at the forefront of that. Among other things, could Bill be coming back? We've talked about it, honestly, a few times, but we kind of feel like Bill like what we've kind of Jason and I kind of talked about most of the time of like, could we resurrect Bill Cipher? We honestly have talked about it a few times, but we were kind of like, it's like Bill's such a big villain, and if we tried anything, it would just kind of feel like, you know, it would be less than what he did the first time. Like, oh, is he going to try Weird Mageddon again? Oh, that's original, yeah. So, for the time being, Bill is going to remain dead. But that doesn't mean Bill might show up in the Infinityverse in a past tense. So keep that in mind. So yeah. The Pines family is going to be forever broken. And, it's going to be rough, but we felt like this was the cool thing to do. And there's no, like, and like we've always said in the Infinityverse, the status quo is there is no status quo. Like, even if the status quo does come back in some capacity, it's not like in Marvel where it's like, oh, the status quo is back, and we're totally fine. No, shit happened, and we acknowledge that it happened, so it's not going to be the same. So, you know, you got to keep that in mind. But anyway, so you guys tell me in the comments below, what do you guys think of all this? Do you guys like it? If you guys have any additional questions about Gravity Falls in the Infinityverse, just comment below, let me know. But until next time, I'm Mr. Multiverse, and I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.